Oh, hello. Didn't see you there. Welcome to American Odds. As you can see, I'm still Tom Bennis, but my usual co-host for this show, Cal, the creator for this, or the Kingslayer, or the People's Champ, depending on what show you watch. He's doing something with one of his good friends, Victoria, and a few others. I know the other ones. Yeah, we got to spend a birthday with her. That was a lot of fun, and you can check that out on our Odd Shaped Travels. But my partner for everything else, Kimber Barrett's here.
Hey guys.
So Corey, the only person in the chat, should be happy about that. Our computer's glitching out.
Okay.
We should be good.
Hopefully you can see us. Let me double check here. Nothing like a little technical difficulties to start the show off.
Okay, we're good. The power strip was not on, and sometimes when it's not hooked up, my computer screen glitches. Mavis also just knocked over the computer, so
she did.
We had a little bit of a scare there, but I'm good now. And hello, Eric. Hello, Mac. Eric should be around in about 15 minutes.
Awesome.
We should be about halfway through the recap for episode 4 for that before we start taking callers. We're trying to break it up to a half hour. I do have work tonight, so we don't have all night, but we could spend a good hour or so around it. Check out this Joker shirt. It's dope. And Joker is definitely based on like a trickster deity for sure.
Oh yeah, definitely.
So that's why I'm wearing it. I don't have any God shirts. Just I want Buddy Christ though. That'd be a great shirt.
I would wear Buddy Christ.
But I feel bad that this is the episode you had to come on. And some people like this episode, and that's great. And I think some of the storytelling was cool. Visually, it was cool.
I had points that I liked, particularly Audrey, which I will definitely talk about more when we get to it. That I liked.
We have a bunch of notes. Real quick.
He let me write the notes, so of course there's like 5 pages front and back.
You want to see my notes? That's it. You can't even see it. It's less than the shape of a page, or size of a page, I guess. So last episode, we see that not only is Mad Sweeney's coin still missing, but when he goes to go find it at Laura's grave, Laura's gone waiting for her shadow when he gets back to his hotel room.
Yes.
Okay. And so now we get like a little like...
It's all the Laura backstory.
Yeah. And there's no coming to America or somewhere in America, which I kind of... Meh. It's weird when you set up a formula and then you break it 4 episodes in. But I guess if it doesn't really apply to her, then do we need it?
Well, technically they did like 2 of them last time.
To make up, maybe. I guess.
But yeah, I don't know if... I think that this is the type of show where we're going to expect kind of like inconsistency with creative choices, but in a purposeful way to like keep you on your toes. He's good at that. Hannibal was like that as well.
Yeah, and of course there's the Brian Fuller connection right there. So the name of the episode is Get Gone, which is the brand of bug spray she uses, which I don't like. I realized I fabricated a plot line in my head regarding Robbie, who we'll talk about. So like I don't think I'm remembering everything correctly, but I have no idea where this bug spray thing came off. If you've read the book, please tell me if I'm wrong. Did she have bug spray? Let me know. Bill read the book, so he should be able to tell me. And Bill liked the episode. We actually have a poll talking about
like how you feel about Laura.
So we'll get into that later. If you haven't gotten a chance to vote on that, it's on both my and Kimber's Twitters, and those handles are down in the description if you're a perfect stranger. And by the way, if you are a perfect stranger, welcome. So All right, so starting out, we see that she's dealing cards in a casino, which at first I thought was the Luxor in Vegas, which I've been to and is gorgeous. But this is supposed to be in Missouri, or no, Indiana. Indiana.
It's the crappy Luxor. It's the sucks more. That's what I'm going with.
You're good. But there's like we get little bits of her personality. Like she's good at her job. Like she's sharp. Like she sees what's up. But like they take away or they give her a shuffling machine, and she's like, I like to shuffle, which kind of gives you an idea of her character. She doesn't like to be stagnant or in one place, which definitely ties in. There's also a lot of focus on flies in this episode, which we see come more into play later, but it is kind of like a light foreshadowing.
In the casino, we get some ties to Anubis with the deck of cards. Definitely, I believe that the ace even said Anubis when she was dealing the cards. She mentions that she's been working there 4 years, which is important because that allows you to figure out how much time goes by later on the episode. Because there is a lot of time jumping because it's her entire backstory. But yeah, definitely more flies in the next scene.
Yeah, because then that's where we see her get the bug spray after she kills a fly, and then she goes in the jacuzzi and like hot boxes herself in the jacuzzi, but with bug spray. I don't know. She's either like trying to kill herself or trying to get super high, or both.
Let us know in the chat what you think.
Subscribe, like, and comment. So yeah, so we get back to the casino. She's dealing cards, and Shadow shows up, and Shadow thinks he's a lot more smoother than he actually is.
Yeah, this is jumping to the first time they meet.
Yes. And she kind of saves him.
Well, yeah, he tries to con her, and she notices, and she warns him, like, cameras here, there, and there. This person's watching you. Like, this isn't the 80s, she says. Like, they're not going to just mess you up. They're going to prosecute to the fullest extent. And she warns him.
Yeah, and I like how, like, this isn't 80s casinos anymore. They're not just going to break your hands and let you walk away. Like, will actually, like, affect you and your life. Real quick, I want to shout out Nichelle. I hope I'm saying that correctly. In the chat, she left a great comment on one of our videos the other day, and I'm glad she's here. Thank you for showing up.
She also thinks Laura was trying to kill herself. Yeah, they're saying kill herself.
Well, she's bad at it. So,
jeez,
how many times does she do it in an episode? Warns him stop. Oh, and then like a creep, he like meets her outside, and I mean he's very nice about it, but I would be creeped out if I was like getting off of work at night and some dude was like, who I see just tried to like do criminal stuff.
Yeah, I mean you're telling me, especially like I know dudes can get creepy.
Yeah,
so.
But I feel like she doesn't mess around, which I mean we see later. She's kind of hardcore, but I mean obviously she's huffing.
Candace says she was getting messed up. See, so I'm not sure. I don't feel like they really like said one way or the other in the episode. Open to interpretation. My thought was that she was getting high. She wanted to get gone.
Mac makes a good point. She was in a jacuzzi. Why didn't she just drown herself?
Exactly. So I would think that just helps the argument for her getting messed up.
So after talking about like working together and like making like an inside job.
Well, you're skipping.
No, I'm not. It's outside a car.
Well, don't skip this. Okay, you're talking about.
Yeah. So he propositioned.
Well, he didn't proposition. Okay, he didn't really proposition her there. He kind of like. He kind of like brought it up a little bit, but they have like a further discussion about it later. It's not like brought into a whole big conversation or anything out in public. she obviously, it's like a wink and a nod, really, and she knows what he's up to, but I think she's also interested in him. So they go home and they hook up. And
Well, she says she doesn't want to talk about any of this stuff, that she just wants to go home. And then he's like, well, then take me home.
yeah,
So, and then we see that he's kind of forceful and like pleasantly aggressive about it. And we realize when they actually do hook up, she's also equally aggressive.
Because he kind of like comes at her soft and is like, "Are you okay?" type thing, and her response is to slap him in the face hilariously. It was very funny to me. And then he gets like more aggressive with her in that moment.
Oh, and we also get to see that like when he gets back to her place, she has the TV on for, and I hope you noticed Mavis had a cameo in that episode. She was just doing some really good acting. She's fine. But yeah, she has an awesome cat, and he also stays around in the morning after they hook up. And it's funny. He's drinking a cup of coffee, and she's like, "Oh, you are a thief," insinuating that like it's just a cup of coffee. But, and that's where we see that we saw a glimpse of it in the casino. His sleight of hand with some of the tokens, but little shuffling abilities and stuff like that. And like it's all he even says like together like we would be. And you're right. Like this is where they flesh it out a bit more. But we see that it never really gets anywhere. We see more that they spend more time together. They meet her friends.
You also skipped. Tom appreciated that she leaves the TV on for the cat. They definitely like featured that in that scene as well. You were talking about flashing forward to meeting Robbie.
Yeah, Robbie. Yeah, who's Dane Cook, who I think because Robbie's kind of an asshole, and Dane Cook comes like I don't know him personally, so I can't say like, but a lot of the personas he plays and his
like,
stand up,
like typecasting him as that.
Yeah. I was talking.
You pictured him.
Yeah, because it was about that time where Dane Cook was like popular and like, so of course like I made the connection of now it might be more like Jericho, but so. Oh, and she also says that her grandmother says, because we're talking about the cats, that cats can see ghosts, which is kind of cool because that kind of connected to the last episode with the cat and the grandmother. But I just wanted to point out that I don't know, because again, like the book is updated for the series. I don't know if it was kind of a reference or not, but Robbie teaches Krav Maga, and there's an Archer episode where he's asked by I forgot his name, but he's the one who's kind of the butt of the joke all the time. And he's asked like, "Oh, do we know karate?" And he's like, "Karate, the Dane Cook of martial arts? No, we learn Krav Maga." So I wonder if that's kind of like just a funny thing that Dane Cook's teaching Krav Maga or not. I don't know. Yeah,
Cyril.
but yeah, Cyril Fig. So and like so they're talking more about like, I guess they're like philosophies like about like religion and the afterlife and what like exists. And like during this conversation about like her lack of faith in things, like they're cutting to scenes of the wedding and the ceremony, which I thought was very powerful, because she's like, you were telling me that there was an article about how she's like a sympathy, or I messed up.
Yeah, it was talking about like how Laura Moon on the show is a portrayal of like apathy in America, is the statement that they were trying to make with her, and you're definitely feeling that in this scene. When Tom was watching the episode the first time, he was like, "Man, she's just like totally checked out, like dead in her eyes right now."
Which is kind of like, it's a weird flip later, but like it's almost like she was like waiting to die in order to start her life.
Yeah.
Which is interesting. So we see more of her at work. And then like again, she gets more bug spray after they're married. Like again, we see how checked out she is. Like the way she said
asks
after
him for bug
Yeah.
spray, yeah.
But the way, real back quick to the wedding, like to cut off that scene, fun puppy. Like it was just like so like, like it was like, oh my god, like
Yeah, she's literally like giving a speech
Which-
about how she doesn't believe in anything and has no faith in anything, and that's intercut with the footage of them getting married.
and
So
so reflect back to the book. The book, she's not doesn't work in a casino. She's a travel agent. And we'll get more onto how like because at this point Laura is suggesting that they robbed the casino. In the book, it wasn't a casino; it was a VCR repair shop, and we know there aren't any of those around now. So they were going to have to update it into something. But Shadow does not get pinched for robbery in the book. He gets ripped off after robbery. He's like the getaway driver. And after he gets ripped off, he beats the hell out of his two accomplices, and he goes to jail for assault and battery.
Candace is saying on the side, like, how did Shadow not even notice how checked out she is? The only time she got excited is when they first talked about larceny, how he should have noticed.
Like, the way, because they're like, oh, he doesn't love you the way, and we'll get more because Robbie says this later, but they set Shadow up to be kind of like pathetic. Like, why, like, besides his general interest in like being with her because they could have done this job together, to whatever their relationship became, like what part of that did he enjoy? I guess maybe the sex, but I don't know. It kind of set him up to be like, I know Shadow is kind of ignorant of everything else that's going on, but this is like reality as opposed to how he thinks everything else is kind of a fantasy or a dream. Like, he should know this kind of stuff, especially if he's supposed to be a con man. He should be good
like
at
feeling people out.
Exactly. So I don't know what they're, and I also like, maybe it was just wishful thinking. And again, I like, for some reason in my head, I thought that Robbie threatened Shadow's job when he got out of prison, and that's why the affair kept going on. But I couldn't find any evidence, and I let somebody borrow my book, so I couldn't even look it up. But I always thought that Laura was actually genuinely in love with Shadow. Like, I thought, and it's kind of disappointing to see her this way. I don't know if they're just, because she does have like a redemption arc in the book, and at this point in the story, she's at such a low point that that's all she can kind of have. But again, I have to accept that this is a different thing.
I have more to say about my opinions on that later. When
we get farther.
Stuff, and yeah.
Checked out montage. Oh, they have the not happy discussion after, and I guess it feels like she's using the robbery as an excuse to like just feel something, just like adrenaline and get out of this town, feel something new. She likes to shuffle.
A lot of people were saying in the chat too that like sometimes with love and stuff you don't see what's right in front of you. Like, you forgive stuff like that because you want it to be a certain way. I think Eric Monroe was saying that. So that's a thing too that you got to consider with Shadow. Like, Shadow could be projecting how he wants to see her, and that can be affecting like him seeing how she actually is.
Yeah, Candace says in the book it felt like Laura truly loved Shadow, but was just bored with her present situation.
Yeah, which they try to say in this conversation, the not happy one.
Yeah, like she never blames Shadow.
No,
she even goes out of her way to be like, "You're too good for me."
And I don't resent you. I just am resentful. You know.
So they decide to do it, and I love how they did it, where they didn't even show the con. They just instant. You won't get caught, and then she's like gets a phone call.
How did you get caught?
Exactly.
It's like the
now. On how he got caught?
They were making it sound like someone must have set them up, but I don't have enough information on that.
Okay.
What I did mostly want to talk about with this scene was that Laura had an offer to, like, if she admitted that she was in on the crime, then they could split the time evenly, and they both would have got out, half as long as he would be in jail if he didn't go by himself. Shadow refuses her. He doesn't want her to go to jail. But I am going to say that she did want to go to jail in my mind, because I think she knew she was going to do what she ended up doing. She knew she couldn't wait for Shadow, and she wanted to be in jail to prevent herself from doing that, is how I was reading the situation.
Maybe not only that, but 3 years in jail is a different version of life than just being back at Eagle Point.
There's that too.
You know what I mean? So even if it was a different situation, like we were just watching Kimmy Schmidt, and one of the old characters is now like in jail, and she's happier because of it. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So it depends on the character. So he gets caught. There's like a montage of all the collect calls that she's getting from prison. And
they change over time for sure.
And like you were saying, it was smart that they established she had already been there 4 times. She had gotten this cat, and now after all this montages of phone calls, she gets back, and the cat seems to have died of natural causes.
Oh, there was another thing I want to say about that. They say before they do the robbery that she's been working there 8 years. So now we also know that it's established in the storyline that 4 years went by in between that time. So now it's like 8 years into her working there when they decide to do that move to robbing the place. And then, yeah, poor dead Mavis twin kitty.
Fuck you, dummy. Is her
Fuck
words.
you, dummy, is what she says when she finds the cat dead, which Tom felt was authentic.
Yeah, I would feel like it wouldn't be the cat's fault, obviously, but I'd be mad. Like, and then Robbie comes by to bury the cat and buries other things too.
It's the classic hug turns into a kiss scenario. That's what I wrote. Yeah.
Yeah. She pulls back. I'm drunk. But then again, and then she challenges him because that's what she's about.
Yeah, she says, "I'm drunk, I'm lonely, and my cat just died." And then again, they kiss.
And then she puts
she pushes his head.
Oh yeah.
She pushes his head down to her crotch.
And I was like, "Oh no, Bilquist, run!" And then I forgot it was Laura. He comes by again, presumably the next day, and he's like, "Oh, I was gonna move furniture or something," and they probably did. But she says that was like a one-time thing. She's waiting for Shadow, which already she's screwed that up. She bangs him again, and
but she makes him like
it's business.
Understand that in her mind that this isn't like a permanent thing. It's not a relationship. She's just lonely and waiting for Shadow. She makes him repeat, "I'm waiting for Shadow," back to her to make sure that he's like understanding the situation.
Okay, come on.
Yeah.
And then we get the phone call from episode 1, but from her end, which it's funny because I was thinking about this. When we were watching that, it's super endearing because she greets him with "I love you," right?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, oh, that's so like cute. Like she just picks up and like that's just her first thought. But now seeing the montage of phone calls,
very montagey this episode, by the way.
Yeah, for sure. But now we could just see that it's kind of like she's on autopilot.
Yep.
Where she's just like, "I love you." Like it's not endearing. It's kind of
it's not honest. It's just like responsive.
Not honest. The next room.
Snake in the grass, she says. Candace is in the chat.
Yeah. So we see that, and then she hangs up the phone, and while saying like, "Oh, we're preparing for your surprise party," you'll get a surprise. And then like after the phone call, we see that Robbie's in the other room naked. I was so mad. So they're driving, going somewhere. I don't remember where they're heading.
Yeah.
But Robbie, he's saying like, "I'm willing to leave Audrey," and she's like, "No, like this was like a nice memory.
Yeah, we've been over this. I'm waiting for Shadow."
You fucked around and you didn't get caught, which is like, I love how they do like negative foreshadowing. Like they set up a scenario and give you the opposite in the show. And then she's like, "Oh, I'll give you a goodbye blowjob," which I guess is a thing. Asked him to sing along to the song, which was I don't know the name, but it was that "Take a Load Off," which I thought was hilarious.
I'm feeling at a half past dead. Remember you were singing?
Yeah.
The
Well, it's
lyrics
just
were
all funny because
it
it's
was
like
Killing
innuendo.
Tom, appropriate song.
And then I love the car crash is about to happen, but I loved like the pan of like just her face and like her eyes just like, oh shit.
Whoa.
Yeah. And it cuts to Anubis, who we just saw in the episode beforehand. Now, how did you feel about like? Did she go and see Anubis just because she worked at an Egyptian-themed casino?
He says to her that the circumstances of her death permit his interference in the situation. So it's because she like died while cheating horribly on her husband, is how I took that.
Oh, I understand. Okay. And we see pretty much the same setup from the episode beforehand.
But this scene is very different. We were talking earlier how Tom said he liked because the scene before with the lovely, like, sweet grandmother and this scene are like the complete opposite sides of the scales, really.
And speaking of the scales, she catches on right away what's going on. And she's like, I'll tell you right now who's going to win, Heart versus Feather. And she puts down this scale. And I feel like it was a very honest like depiction of somebody actually like rejecting the idea of them dying. Like we got to see someone embracing it, and she had like a peaceful goodbye.
I think I liked her the best in this scene.
Yeah. And I like that the jacuzzi was there.
Yeah, that's what he ends up pointing to her. Like, there you go. He has a great line too. I think I wrote that down.
Sorry, I got lost in the chat. There's a lot of talk about Dane Cook's wing.
Yeah, why don't you tell him what Candace said about the wing?
So I was talking to her. I saw the episode before her, and I'm like, I loved who they cast as Robbie, blah, blah, blah. And she gets back to me after the episode, and she was like, yeah, but there's no way Dane Cook's junk's that big. Like, that's the character flaw that departs them, I guess.
I found the quote. He says, in life, you believed in nothing, you will go to nothing. And she basically responds, will there be peace? And he said, there will be darkness.
Yeah.
Is his response to her. And she gets huffy with him, and he doesn't like that. And he's like, listen, do you know how many people I've dealt with? You're no one. You're going to go, and then I'm going to forget ever having met you. And she says, fuck, and then is sucked right back out into reality.
It was like a Team Rocket blasting off to this, you know what I mean?
I liked that. It was
the little glint in the sky was the coin, which I thought was really cool. And then we see her in the grave. It's a very much like a bride moment. We don't see her inside breaking out, but it's like they're covered in dirt and everything.
She immediately gets up and vomits embalming fluid, which has got to be like one of the grossest. Imagine.
Yeah, and right away, not only is she seeing in black and white now, which is weird, but she sees this big like beacon of light, like a golden light, more like another reflection of the coin. And she decides she needs to go towards it, which I think is the obvious thing to do. And she finds Shadow hanging there, surrounded by like the mob of
technical boys droogs.
Yeah, exactly. That's funny, because it's close to the word that I think she is. So at this point, things get a little weird. Now in the book, she does save Shadow in a situation like this much later on. But we see that Laura is more than not just human. Like, she's undead, but she is like superpower. Yeah.
She kicks a dude in the crotch so hard his skull and spine burst through the top of his head. I would like someone to explain to me how that works.
Well,
but, it looked cool.
I don't know about the physics of the actual like anatomy ripping apart that way, but I was doing some like research because when a new god or someone shows up, and we do have like one or two to talk about, no, just one this episode to talk about. I like to shout out what they were in actual mythology. And Laura, there's a lot of versions of undead in mythology. And I think the closest one she kind of resembles is the Norse undead, the Droger, which is close to Drew. I don't know. So, but they are super strong, and the smell of decay follows them everywhere. Which in the next episode, lemon scent or lemon
Scented
yeah,
you.
lemon scented you. We get more into that. And they have treasure in their burial mound, which kind of is like an allusion to the coin. Also close to it is like a revenant, which are usually like non-believers from Eastern Europe who become undead, which, Laura is clearly a non-believer. And ghouls, like they're Arabic undead, they steal coins. So I thought it was cool how Laura is kind of like an amalgamation of undead throughout mythology. But she saves Shadow. She like breaks the rope. Everyone's dead. Shoot out his head. Yeah, that's where the notes end on that. And then she's just like, I guess at a certain point, because she does get like hit really hard.
He hits her on the arm with like a crowbar, and it knocks her arm loose. Because we're assuming that she's in pieces because maybe she got thrown from the car, or pieces of her got thrown from the car. Right out of Evil Dead for her. We're going to get to a movie that got ripped off in this episode, but that's coming up soon.
So once she's walking down the street, we see her shower, and then it looks like she breaks into Audrey's home, who she hasn't screwed over enough yet.
Before she does that, though, she's showering and she sees the light coming up to the door, and she can tell that Shadow's coming home, so she has to like hide from Shadow. And they don't really explain how she got to Audrey's house, but the next place we see her is Audrey's house, because Audrey is crafty. She's making a super sweet notebook for Shadow's return, which is extra sad. Like, she opens it up and it's like, obviously Audrey spent like a lot of time and effort making it really cute. So it's like, as a crafty girl, my feelings were hurt for Audrey extra in that scene. And I think she starts sewing her arm on, and then she gets like the tummy grumbles going on.
This is what Kimber wrote. Her tummy starts doing stuff. And yes, it does.
And she goes out into the hallway, and she runs into Audrey. Audrey is my favorite character on this whole show. All the lines that were my favorite lines in this episode came from Audrey. I think she's an amazing actress, this girl, who's this woman who is playing Audrey. And I asked Tom, I'm like, is this what Audrey is like in the book? Is she like dead on? And what did you tell me?
She's better. She's way better. I don't think they fleshed out her character like this at all, at least from what I remember.
She's amazing to watch and doing really good, and I can't wait to talk about this with her. So she runs and hides in the bathroom, but unfortunately Laura needs to go to the bathroom.
Oh my god, this poor woman.
And so to add even more insult to her injury,
she proceeds to shit out embalming fluid.
She proceeds to shit out embalming fluid.
Your notes are great. Yeah, and then like during this, they're talking about like if she's actually undead.
And in that moment, like while they're talking about that, Audrey goes, "Hey, so Laura, what's the last thing you remember?"
Bloop. Oh. Yeah.
And they have a little bit of a discussion about that.
If Robbie's like if he's dead or not, because they don't know, because Laura just popped up to life. Robbie might too, but
yeah, she finds out Robbie's dead. She finds out Robbie got his own dick shoved up his ass for his burial, and of course then she asks if Shadow knows.
Yeah. And Audrey's perfectly honest, which is like a clear reflection of like the differences between her and, but then again, what Audrey's been through, she's like, she says like, I'm just a vulgar person now, so she has no filter.
She's great,
but she's like, oh yeah, no, I tried to fuck him, I thought it'd be fair. And like Laura's
yeah, he knows I tried to fuck him on your grave, and Laura's like,
that's
fair enough. Yeah. So Audrey,
Audrey sews her, which like, good on her.
She's
you know
just
what I
trying
mean?
to get rid of her. Like, I would help her sew her freaking stupid arm back on if she would go too. I did love the line, "Get out of my house, you zombie whore."
Mm-hmm.
I was a big fan of
Mhm.
that too.
It's right here.
It's great.
Um,
I love Audrey.
so she also asks if she can borrow her car after this point, which she doesn't borrow it, but Audrey drives her somewhere, and they discuss the affair while they're driving.
And they read her obituary.
Oh yeah, she
which
hates
she was
it.
not pleased with. Yeah.
She was like, and it's kind of funny how she doesn't understand the tense to use because she's died, but she's alive, so it's very confusing. Like, I would be confused. So she's like, "Oh, I loved him. I love him. I love." Like, you know what I mean? Like, she doesn't know how to say it, but she's like, "Well, I love him now for sure."
Which is a cheap answer. I'm not a huge
Yeah,
fan of
no.
that type of sentiment.
Yeah, she definitely, like, there's definitely, you get the vibe that there's more to the situation, and it's almost like she's being like, it doesn't feel authentic, and the only reason that is because they didn't show like her expressing like her love like she did in the book
Yeah.
in the beginning. So like you don't feel like, oh, you know what I mean, I can play off of what I already had. It's like, no, I'm building off of no foundation.
Yeah.
Which is weird.
Candace says she's shitty, which reminds me of another favorite Audrey quote because Laura said her obituary was shitty, and she was like, "Yeah, because you're a shitty person. You did shitty things. So enjoy your shitty obituary." Is basically where she went with that. Man, she's funny and awesome.
And then we see a guy walking a dog on the road. The dog turns into Anubis, and the guy you may recognize from the first episode as the writer of the Coming to America. So this guy, whose name is Ibis, ibises are a kind of bird.
It's ibis.
Ibis.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm not pronouncing things. We all know this. She told you, everybody, she's fine. So this is the god Thoth, who not only is the god of writing and creating a system of writing, he's god of logic, god of the moon. Interesting. And he's also involved with the judgment of death. And they show back up at this mortuary, which is weird because we meet it in different circumstances during the book. But this is cool how they're bringing Laura into the fold. This whole, like Candace said, this whole episode's kind of off book, so I can complain pretty much about nothing.
And you liked him very much, right?
Oh yeah, he was spot on, Mr. Ibis, and he was like, "There's always been an Ibis and a Jack Cole here, like at this mortuary." So they can obviously like make fake identities for themselves and just carry on the same job because people always die. There'll always be a need for,
Yeah.
And I think you really wanted to comment on the scene.
Here comes the death becomes her scene. This is straight up death becomes her. Like they're painting her and they're making her look pretty again and putting the parts on and literally saying like, your body can't take care of itself, so you have to take care of it and stuff. Like it's straight up out of one of my favorite movies. I felt like it almost had to be like a homage to it in that moment, but
even the paint.
Yeah, I couldn't help but feel anything other than that was a death becomes her moment. I was like, their death becomes herring her. I was excited.
Yeah, and so while they're in the funeral, we also see a cat in the background. We've seen cats during different situations during the series, so maybe that's important. Maybe not. Maybe it's a health code violation, like you were saying.
Yeah, we were discussing how they're always eating. There's random animals like in autopsy scenes and mortuaries and stuff. Gross.
And he then says, like, what brought you back? Is it unfinished business? What was it? And she's like, well, I think it was love, or at least it is love now. And he's like, oh, well, love will always have you at a disadvantage, but he promises that once she's done with whatever her business is, that he's going to deliver on his promise.
Yes.
And return her to the darkness, which is ominous and scary. Then we see her kind of get ready. She's back at this hotel that Shadow is at. She's hanging up fly paper, which they use that as a way to show passage of time with the amount of, because I don't think that like flies were swarming I just feel like flies kept getting attracted, and like we saw the sunset and everything like that. She just sat there for a while.
I'm very distracted because Jason's like, were they talking about a cat being in the background? While there was a cat in the background talking about Mavis.
Maveception.
I love it. You're funny.
And then we see the light coming up to the door. It opens, and Shadow looks, for a guy named Shadow, he's really bright. And she says, "Hi, puppy," and it ends pretty much right where it ended last episode.
Yep.
So that took a little bit longer than we thought. Usually we try to wrap this up around 10. We can go a little bit longer than that, depending on the calls.
Yeah, it's totally on you.
Yeah, I just got to be out the door. I'm already ready, so that's a nice change of pace. So we're probably gonna, do some refreshments, use the bathroom, stuff like that. So while we're doing that, who would like to come in first and talk about certain aspects of the show? I'll wait. We already are seeing some opinions in the chat. Eric just said that this is his favorite show. Not his favorite show. This is his favorite show. Now, that episode was his favorite episode of the show so far. I did want to read something Michelle wrote. She said she didn't get that Laura loved Shadow in the book as much. She's way extreme with her nonchalance on the show, but she got that vibe from the book too. That's what's interesting about, I guess, reading it versus the actually like watching it, is because when you read something, you're seeing it through your own perceptions. Yeah, I agree in this show. This was my least favorite, and then the Anasi episode was my second.
Yeah, I loved last week.
The odd numbers, funny enough, are the best ones so far. I feel like.
And I will get to the poll and see what everybody thought in a minute here.
Yeah, for sure. So I think we can do Candace and Mac.
Yeah, that sounds good.
All right.
I think that's.
Well, is
because Corey said he wasn't calling in.
Corey's not calling in. If Jason is with Candace, though, I might just have Candace call in. So, is Jason calling in with you, Candace? I sent Candace an invite.
Why did you tell her about Morgan with the bed, sweetie?
I think our good friend Morgan should cosplay as Mad Sweeney.
What did he think about that?
I don't remember.
Remember, he looked him up and he's like, he's a leprechaun, and he got so offended.
Yeah, because he yeah.
And Tom's like, he's not really a leprechaun. Eric's been here a while,
okay.
So we'll want to get him in early.
He said he doesn't want to call. He's super lame.
Candace and Mac?
Well, I'm sending I was just waiting to see if Jason was calling in.
Mac and McAfee. It's perfect.
It's pretty good.
We should start a law firm.
A law firm called Mac and McAfee. I mean, sounds good. I prefer Wolfram and Hart.
I've just been watching too much Better Call Saul.
That could be it. Oh, hey, buddy.
Hi.
Hey. How's it going?
I'm good.
Oh, no, Jason. It's fine. I just missed him. Oh, are we playing on YouTube? So exciting. I was hearing some background noise. Unless that's Jason.
I'm turning it down. I can't hear him.
Oh, sorry.
Hi.
How's it going?
Who's the trickster god now?
It's fine. Oh, are we playing on YouTube?
I'm just listening to myself in the background. I'm caught in a loop.
Can she hear you, or is she hearing a
What's
technical
that,
voice?
I'm turning it down. I can't hear him.
Oh,
Oh my God, we're caught in the Twilight Zone.
Who's the trickster god now?
Are your
With something's going on, but it's fine. We'll figure it out.
I can't hear you. Hold on a
Can you
second.
hear me?
Yeah, I didn't think she could.
Do you have headphones plugged in or something?
Ha! Got it. Sorry.
There we go. It's fine. I was just trying to communicate. Was it True Book? And oh, that's what it was.
Sorry, we're just trying to call Mac in as well. So what did you think of the episode?
Honestly, I think it was the most enjoyable for me because it was completely off book and it wasn't like I wasn't constantly comparing it to anything. Like I was able to kind of just like let go in this one. And I felt like they gave me a little bit more to work with Laura. Like I don't like Laura. I feel like in the book, I don't really like her in the book either, to be honest with you. She's kind of like a selfish character to me. But I don't think you're supposed to like her. I don't think that's necessary. Which is like part of the reason that I enjoy her character. I just don't like her character. I think that there's like a lot of pressure sometimes to make especially female characters likable, and I like that they don't have to, that no one feels boxed into a corner by that. But at the same time, like, I don't know, she's kind of like, she's just so shitty.
Audrey nailed it. Let me read off this poll. Hey Mac, what's up? Let me read off this poll really quick so we can see how everybody felt about it. I simply asked how everybody's feeling about Laura Moon so far, and 20% of the people who voted love her and are very interested. 35% think that she's just okay and that we need to see more of her. Are not into it, and 15% prefer book Laura. That's the poll for now. Where are you at, Mac?
I sort of like, when I saw her, I was like, wow, this girl's sort of a, at first I was like, okay, I don't know, she's emo at the beginning, like, okay, I hate my life. And towards the middle, I was like, okay, she went from this girl that wanted to take her life to, okay, she's nice. And then I'm a little bit in the middle, but I kind of like her. She's growing on me. I just got to see a couple more episodes. I don't like giving judgment on one episode.
All right, yeah, I don't know, man. Like, I'm with Candace. She's extra shitty. Like, I have a hard time with that. Like, she's fine.
Well, I mean, if you, oh, I'm sorry to interrupt. If you watch other, like for example, I remember when I watched one show and I was like, man, I really, really hate this person. And then I watched them and I was like, okay, why do I keep watching this person and why do I like them? When I read certain books and you like there's certain people that you hate in the book, but you grow to like them. They grow on you a little bit. Sort of like, for example, Snape and Harry Potter. You hate him, but towards the end you like him. So, like I said, I just stand my judgment.
You just opened up a whole can of worms that you don't even understand.
I went ahead. Yeah.
I'm a die-hard Slytherin, like, all day long, and I love Snape. How dare you?
I love Snape. I love him. I'm just saying, towards the beginning, you like.
I always loved him. The moment I saw him, I was like, you sassy, beautiful bastard.
I don't got nothing against him. It's just like when he just kept acting like himself, I was like, I like him. Like I said, everybody else, some people around me was like, I hate this guy. And I was like, I'm going to save my judgment. I'm saving my judgment to the end. I'm just giving an example. Some people didn't like him. I liked him towards the end.
Yeah, but, I understand where you're coming from. You're saying like a Jamie Lannister or something where they kind of start out as a dick and you like them. I'm more inclined to like characters who get so shitty that now I love them. More like Cersei Lannister.
Oh, yeah.
Like shitty in a way that I'm lukewarm about her. Like she's not shitty enough to be interesting. She's just kind of like.
Well, I think that comes down like her. I think it comes down to her disposition. Like a character like Cersei Lannister is shitty because she's complicated. She's got a lot going on in her life. She's had tragedy strike her. She feels like she's been wronged. Like there's a lot of reasons that Cersei is the way that she is. And like, yeah, both characters are extremely selfish, but one character really feels like something was stolen from her, like she lost somehow. Whereas like Laura she doesn't care. Like she doesn't feel anything. Like even when she gets to Ibis, like I mean not to Ibis, to Jaquel, right? Even when she gets to Death, like he's trying to reason with her, he's trying to talk to her and like give her the benefit of the doubt, even though he probably already knows that she's awful. She didn't get any kind of grand entrance like the grandma did. You know what I mean? There was nothing nice about that process. So it's like, you know, even when she's there with him, like these are her final moments. You'd think that she'd at least try to make kind of a good impression, but she like doesn't give a fuck. Like she just really legit does not care. And like, while that's in a way kind of like admirable, like I just hope that I don't want them to sanitize this ending. Like obviously we're off book. We don't know what could possibly happen. I just hope that they keep her shitty. Because like right now she's like, oh, well, I love him now anyway. And it's like, yeah, you love him now because he's a shining beacon. And, you know, you think that like you can go after him and hopefully something will happen. Like I just hope that they keep her a little selfish. Like I feel like that kind of character, especially after her scene with Death, like isn't going to be repetitive. Like I really don't. I don't think that she's sorry for what she did. Like I don't think, even when she's talking to Audrey, she's not like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. I don't even know if she apologizes.
Yeah,
Not really.
I agree with you, Candace, but I also got to say that, well, I do agree, but I felt like when she was with Anubis, I felt like she was just like, just like what she was doing with Shadow, she was trying to push him to do something she wasn't. It was like she was just, I felt like she was like trying to, I'm sorry, I watched Bill and Ted Bug's Journey, and I just feel like she is trying to like, okay, maybe I could will and deal, or maybe I could play some, you know, Battleship or Checkers, and I could beat Death or something like that. And that's what I felt like.
I love Bogus Adventure for that reason.
I love that.
Right.
But
Nichelle makes a good point in the chat. Anubis's outfit in the episode before this one changes to white when they go to the underworld.
So
Yes,
it stayed black.
But it stayed black in this one.
Yeah, I wanted to say about her that I love you now stuff doesn't make her any less selfish. That's the most goddamn selfish sentence I've ever heard in my life.
Yeah.
Like, I hate that. Like, I've dated people like that. I fucking hate that shit. Like, oh, but I love you now. Well, that's good.
Save it.
Like, you're not the only one whose opinion matters, man. Like, you've done shit
Yeah.
that's bad, you know? I don't know.
I just hope they don't detract from that. I think that like, I don't know if like maybe people think that like American audiences can't handle it. Like there have been some movies out recently in like the last 5 years where like they would have just been so much better if their endings had been more realistic. And like realistic isn't always pretty. It's not always the tidy package. It's not always clean. You know what I mean? It's not always what we want. And I think that like I like that they have this like really just like fucking grimy character. I just hope they stick to it. Cause like sometimes you see like a really grimy character that like is unrepentant and like doesn't care and, you know, like doesn't give a shit, but like they're almost always wrapped up in a little package. You know what I mean? Like it's very rarely that like you get a character that's just like shitty for the sake of being shitty. Like I think that that's part of the reason why people love Heath Ledger's Dark Knight. Like, I mean, why they loved him in Dark Knight. Like he was unrepentantly just awful. He was just like, this is how I am. This is the kind of dude that you're rolling with.
Overrated film, by the way. I'm just saying.
Like, I feel like I like that a lot. Like I like sticking with the storyline and not trying to tidy it up for me or pretty it up, because like she, you know, not everybody seeks redemption and not everyone is redeemed, and I hope that they tell that story at least with somebody on the show, you know, by the end of it.
How did you feel about Shadow in this episode?
I just don't like him at all. Like I really don't. I keep waiting for it to just jump up and bite me. Like, oh, hot damn, there it is. But I really just do not care. And my mom thinks he's cute, and I'm just like, who are you looking at? Like, he's not even handsome to me. Like, he just looks like a big, wimpy.
Right?
Yeah, man.
He's just there. I feel you. I like I said, I love everybody. I'm the type of person that can love everybody, but I understand where you're coming from. Shadow is that character. You just like, you're just here, aren't you? You're just there. Yeah. Like, give me something. I feel like if I'm the director, I'm like, can you just give me something? Come on, give me emotion. And I just like, I think that's more like the actor, not the more so of the way the character is in the book. I ain't read the book now. I want to read the book a lot, but I think that's more so
Nichelle
of the
says
acting.
Nichelle thinks he's hot, so it's
I
working
don't-
for someone.
I'm trying to get there. Like, I really am trying to get there, and like, I just like he's so weak sauce all the time.
Yeah.
Like in the book,
I find Matt Sweeney far more attractive personally.
because he's got balls, because he's got fire, because like you believe him. And in the scene, like the very first scene that you have him versus Mad Sweeney, like they're supposed to be toe to toe. You know, not just when they're fighting, but in the banter beforehand. Like they're toe to toe. Like Mad Sweeney has more to say than he does, but he stands his ground and he like is ready for that first punch. You know what I mean? Like he's there. And I feel like whenever he delivers lines in this or whenever he's doing stuff in this, he's kind of just like all of his reactions are like shocked, you know, like, oh, ah. Like, all right, wrap it up, buddy. I don't know. I'm not.
I feel like they should have either cast like I feel like if they were to cast like The Rock or Dave Bautista, this probably would have been a little bit more better. I think they give a little bit more. Well, not Bautista, maybe The Rock. Maybe they would have gave a little bit more emphasis on this.
Like
That's
the
the way I
strong silent type, right?
Yeah. Like
Agree.
his minister stare. So I agree with that. But I feel like when we were talking in the chat, I felt like she was super strong. And I want to say this because I feel like when I saw Laura, when I first saw this episode, when I saw her go up in there and rip all of them up, and I ain't gonna lie to you, when I was in there, I was just shouting, Ultra combo, killer combo. I was just yelling them out, all the killer instincts. And so I was really doing that, and I was having fun with that. But I really thought that she was resembling sort of like the Frankenstein monster because the way she was put together, she was sewn up. And in the story of Hammer's Frankenstein, he was super strong. He could do these enormous things, but he was only scared of fire. So I want to know if you get close in the book, is there some sort of resemblance that she's afraid of fire or something? I don't know, but I really want to think there's sort of like a balance between those two.
I would say I would have the same, like, really a plot point that comes up, but if you were aware that you were covered in flammable paint, you would probably be more wary of going around it.
Yeah.
Then again, they don't really do the death becomes her thing in the book. She's kind of worse for wear, and I'm sure they'll get more into that later. But
Yeah.
I think she's, like I said, I think she definitely has more ties to like Drogers from Norse mythology,
Which makes sense. In
with
context.
the super strength and the treasure and burial mounds. Like that's very specific.
I'm sorry, I'm just going about monster movies.
Part of me thought,
Is there anything else you guys wanted to say quick before we get some other callers in before we gotta go?
part of me thought that that the coin on her grave, like I immediately went to like Sharon and how like you have to pay the ferryman or whatever, but because it was a lucky coin, like maybe she got
That's exactly what I was
like
thinking.
I was kind of like hoping that was gonna come up, but like I think that your theory is equally awesome and probably more likely.
Yeah. I was thinking the same thing because I was sitting there thinking that. I was sitting there thinking like the coin represents something. When he put that coin in that grave, I was sitting there thinking that's going to be the trolley for her to come back. But I was hoping that when she met Anubis, that was going to be like a crux. Like when she said, you know, hey, I'm going in this grave. She was like, you know, if you, I'm not going in that grave. And she pulled back. So I was a little bit upset that I was looking for like her going across the river of Styx or something like that. I was just looking for that, but I guess I was hoping I'm still right about that. So.
All right, guys. Well, thank you so much for calling in. We hope to see you next week.
Absolutely.
Did we watch
You will.
the trailer for next week?
I might have been. I was really turned off after the first episode. First time I watched the episode, so I might have tuned it out. But I know there's like Crispin Glover was in the trailer.
Okay.
So but I don't know. We'll see.
All right.
I'll
see y'all.
4 more episodes.
I'll see y'all tomorrow.
Yes, for that Twin Peaks recap tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome. Looking forward to it.
All right.
See you there.
All right.
Bye, Candace.
All right, next we got Billy and Eric, and then we'll probably wrap up. If you're interested in calling next time we get together, just let us know, and we'll try to.
Turn, yeah.
Our recap was a little bit longer than usual, just because I like talking with my boo.
Yeah, it's because I'm here and I talk too much. I have thoughts and feelings about things.
All right, invites are in the mail. RSVP soon.
You see this aggressive foot? Ow, this aggressive foot right here. Yeah, I'm gonna shout out the American Gods podcast people again at Cast Gods on Twitter. Those guys are awesome. They always retweet our posts and stuff. So if you guys are really into the show, check them out.
Hi, Elise.
Hi, Elise.
Elise comments and likes all of our stuff, so it's nice to see her in the chat, and it's good to see you. Hey, Eric, how's it going?
Hey, what's up? I haven't talked to you guys in a couple of weeks in video form, so I'm happy to be back.
Yeah, we missed you, buddy.
Well, we're gonna see you.
I know. I was
physical.
so dead tired yesterday. I know. I was going to talk about 1981's Clash of the Titans and God of War. Those are going to be like my answers for your questions.
Nice, good ones.
For sure.
But yeah, Tom said we're gonna see you in person soon, right?
Yes, less than 2 weeks. I'm so excited, and I just can't hide it.
So you liked the episode a lot, right?
This was my favorite episode of the season for two reasons. One, because I really liked Laura. I thought her performance, the actress's performance in the episode was extremely strong, and I got into her character. I didn't like everything she did in the episode, but I found her to be compelling, and I liked that the episode was focused on one specific thing. Now, I'm certainly not new to shows that jump around to different story arcs. Hello, Game of Thrones, but I always appreciate when a show does at times focus just on one specific thing, which is what this episode certainly did, and I definitely enjoyed that. So, yep, I think this was my favorite. Not that I disliked the first three. Don't get me wrong. I didn't dislike the first three, but I would put this on the top.
You have an unusual taste for characters, my friend.
He's been talking.
He's
been defending Stannis for the past hour.
To get into a debate in the chat about my boy, and I'm like, you know what? I better save this for July.
I know, I'm sure.
But yeah, but I also loved Audrey. I thought Audrey was hilarious. I liked her as well. And when that end scene happened, Death Becomes Her, that was the first thing that popped in my head as well. I felt like it was a total homage to that.
Yeah.
So those were my thoughts.
For sure,
I thought, yeah, I was like, oh, this is totally like almost like a carbon copy of it.
Yeah.
But I thought
like,
it was strong with it.
About that.
But I think maybe one of the reasons I was able to appreciate it, for me, this is Laura. So I don't know book Laura. I decided to take Kansas' advice and wait till the season ends before I read the book. So maybe that's
She's very
maybe why I
wise,
like the character a little better than maybe other people.
Yeah, Candace knows her books, so if she gives you advice, I would definitely say
yes.
what she's talking about.
So I decided to take it. I can't see the chat, so I don't know what's being said.
No, Tom's just being weird a little bit. It's all right. But yeah, no, it's cool that you liked it. Did you have like a favorite part of the episode?
Honestly, when she's in the house and Audrey walks in and she's just like, "Hi, Audrey." Like nothing's wrong. She has no arm. And Audrey's performance of screaming, running to the bathroom, her crapping out the embalming fluid and all that. I think that was my favorite sequence.
Audrey's amazing. Like that was my favorite sequence too of the whole episode. She blows me away, dude. Like I thought she was excellent in the scene at the when they first introduced her, but she just got better with it.
Yes.
Her character is so rich for someone who's been featured so short on the show, you know? Like I believe the craft of that actress.
And I would love to see an episode like focused just on her eventually.
Right?
that
He
was
got a
totally
raw
right.
deal, man. Like, she seems like she
Yeah.
was like a good friend and a decent person.
She
and,
was
like,
loyal. She didn't do any. I mean, it seems like she didn't do anything wrong on the surface. So,
yeah.
Billy, is that you?
I think Billy's trying to get in, but I don't think he's here yet. I keep seeing him pop up.
Yeah,
For
I
a
see.
second.
I see his little thing. But yeah, strong episode for me. But maybe it's because I didn't read the book. I don't know.
I didn't read the book either, and I'm still kind of like about it. But
Did you like that it was more focused on just one thing, or do you like, or would you
yeah, but I
rather
wish
it
it
flash
wasn't-
to different stories?
I wish it wasn't her. Like, I would have liked if it was focused
Oh,
on like
okay.
maybe for the whole episode or Wednesday.
I
Like,
gotcha.
to be more interesting characters. I'm with Candace. Like, I think that both her and Shadow are like the two most boring characters on the show.
And you know what's funny? I do find Shadow bland, a little bland.
Right?
Him, I do find a little boring. I will give you that. Yep, I do find him. Maybe he'll improve. We'll see. It's only the first season, but I do find him get a little more like
comparing,
energy going, dude.
because I don't know if it's just an acting choice or whatever, or if it's the actor himself, but like comparing episode 3 Shadow to episode 4 Shadow, where like he's actually smooth on the phone and he's doing a successful con,
Mm-hmm.
and he's like more stuff is like we're learning more about Shadow. I think he's becoming more interesting, but kind of seeing him like being really bad at like being a con artist and stuff kind of just makes him more bland.
He's just like, I want to say he's vanilla, but he's not even vanilla. He's like milk flavored ice cream. Like, it's so like. I don't know.
Yeah, I totally can see that. One thing I am interested in, I'm curious what exactly went wrong with the job, with the height,
Really
whatever they were
say.
going to do, because they don't specifically say. And she just says she's sure someone screwed them, and I'm curious as to who or what may have been involved.
Do you
in
have
that,
any theories?
which hopefully we'll find out.
Did you have any theories about who might have set them up?
Oh, maybe it was Mr. Wednesday. Maybe it was. It could be anyone really. It's just so early in the series to really just get a total grasp on everyone right now. But I think by like the season finale, I would have a theory.
I just want to point out, you can tell that Kimber tries to figure out what's going to happen because whenever someone brings up a theory, she looks at my face right away.
It's because Tom has no poker face and he's
But,
terrible at secrets.
But I think I'm doing better. So,
I did notice that in the scene where she was driving with Robbie, there were some very conspicuous like crows hanging around, and that made me go, interesting.
Yeah. Yeah, and definitely I said this in the chat. I hope the youth of America was watching the episode. Do not give head or get head while driving. Pull over, because it's a bad idea.
guys, if you want to give blowjobs in cars, pull over.
Just pull over.
It's
Pull
still
over.
illegal, but pull over.
Pull over. Don't keep driving. Just pull on over. Just my general thoughts.
I mean, they're
for me,
absolutely great.
strong episode.
How'd you like Dane Cook in it?
He was good. I kind of like that guy. He was... I like the cast overall, to be honest. Except for actually Shadow. He's the only one that really.
You know, and he sent in, what was it? What did we read? Like, it was like 2,000 people auditioned. No, it was like 1,200 people auditioned. And like, he sent in like 16 audition tapes.
And then
before-
he gained a bunch of like
He
bulk.
gained 30 pounds. Obviously, really
Oh,
wanted.
wow. Wow, he must have gave a hell of an audition.
I hope as the story unfolds and the plot becomes more interesting, he will follow suit.
He's a little wooden right now to me.
But I
Hopefully,
also
as
think,
time goes on.
Yeah.
like I said, I don't know if it's an acting choice or it's whatever. But all right, Eric. Well, thank you so much for coming by. We'll talk to you soon.
Oh,
And Steve,
absolutely. Pleasure talking with you as always. And I will see you in less than 2 weeks.
I know. We'll see you at Wizard World. We'll see you before then.
And Tom, I was only kidding about that. I was only kidding with the Stephen King episode. I'm not going to hobble you, so don't worry.
Oh, I forgot about that. Oh no.
I'm just waiting for your
I'm
cosplay.
not Annie Wilkes. I'm normal. I would maybe hobble Stannis. Yeah, if Stannis showed up, I'd maybe hobble Stephen Delane. But I
I love
wouldn't
you
hobble
so
you.
much. Let me hobble you.
I didn't tell you to hobble Stannis. I said I'm waiting for your Stannis cosplay at Wizard World.
Just dead corpse.
But,
All right, buddy.
all right, we'll see you later.
All right, so I'll talk to you guys soon.
All right, have a good
Bye.
night.
Yes.
I think he had a little bit of a delay on hearing us, but it's always nice to see Eric.
And with that, guys, we need to wrap it up. Sorry, but
Billy's trying to
Oh,
open.
finally, my technology works. And I'm
Okay.
on
We
American
do have to-
odds. What are the odds?
We do have to wrap it up pretty much here, but real quick, what did you think? Like 2 minutes. Go.
Okay, I thought it was a pretty good episode. I need to see more of Laura. But it's still very nice to see Emily Browning do stuff, and also, again, Ian McShane on a Stars, HBO, whatever show is amazing, and yeah, just really, really liking the direction where this series is going, and in Fuller we trust, and Brian Fuller we trust. And there's my 2 minutes.
That was not even a minute.
He has
dude.
our fuller trust.
You're training for the speed rounds. It sounds like over here.
I learned the best. I watch a lot of Koi, Jandro stuff, and he's a good teacher. He's also got that awesome Green Arrow facial hair.
Was there a specific scene that you liked in this episode?
Oh God, that's really tough. None really come to mind right now, but I don't know. Any of the visuals in this show, really, I'm more than satisfied with. Like, the amount of blood that I have seen in this show is ridiculous.
And none of it's CG, which is cool.
That's even better. Yeah. But I'm glad I got to call in, and glad my technology is working right now. But yeah, great show as always, guys. I've been multitasking, and I've been trying to listen to this, and I got the majority of it, and yeah, it's always nice.
Thank you so much for stopping by. I'm glad that we got you to pop in real quick right before we got to get out of here.
All right.
All right, we'll see you soon, buddy.
See you soon, buddy.
Yeah.
That was another episode of American Odds, the American Gods recap show.
Next week, Cal should be back, right?
He should be. I foresee him being here, but Kimber will also be around, maybe to weigh in on the episode.
I'm sure, yeah.
And
I'll definitely be watching, so why not?
thank you everyone for coming by, especially our newcomers, Nichelle and what was her name? I'm sorry.
Elise?
Elise, thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks for coming by, as well as Mac and Corey for becoming regulars. It's great.
And Candace for calling in as well.
Candace's family.
I have to mention my.
But yeah, no, it's great to see her. But yeah, thank you for coming by. Tomorrow night, 8 o'clock, we'll be doing the Twin Peaks recap show, Twin Peeps, which is Kimber and I's recap show of the new revival of Twin Peaks. We did have a recap of season 1, season 2, and Fire Walk with Me last week. So if you haven't seen it and you've seen the show, check it out because it is kind of spoiler heavy.
All of the spoilers.
Yeah, it's everything.
Every spoiler.
But if not, check it out. And yeah, I don't know what else to say. We don't have OSP next week, but we will be doing the BFF crossover after Wizard World. Expect to see a lot of content during and after Wizard World. And
send me questions if you have questions about best friends in pop culture.
Yeah,
tweet them at me.
We're getting some really good ones, so maybe we're gonna do another poll for that too. I'm just trying to think we don't have any other, and then yeah, next week another episode of American Odds.
Yeah.
So I think that's everything. If it's not, check out our website, www.oddshapechannel.com. There's an episode archive of all of our stuff and updated list of what our next live episodes are going to be. I've been Tom Bennis at Odd Shape Panel.
I have been Kimber Barrett at Kimberbatch_OSP.
And you know what? We still are those people.
It's a
Anyway.
true story.
Thanks, guys, for coming by. It's always a pleasure, and we'll talk to you soon.
Bye.
Bye. This is where I hit the stop broadcast.